It was a stunning night inside of the American Airlines Center as the Dallas Mavericks even up their series at one game apiece with the Utah Jazz. Jalen Brunson's ode to Dirk Nowitzki dropping 41 points was the big highlight inside of the American Airlines Center. It's Inside the Mavs right here on Kevin Gray Sports. Of course, my name is Kevin Gray. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Be sure to hit that subscribe button right there for all things Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube, and catch me on your home of the Dallas Cowboys and Texas Rangers. 105.3 The Fan. Jalen Brunson went off in game number 2 for the Dallas Mavericks, and they needed every bit of his 41 points as he leads the Mavericks to a 110-104 win inside the AAC to get the series even at 1 apiece as they get ready to head to Utah for games 3 and 4. Maxi Kleber with a career-high 8 3-pointers, going 8 of 11 from the three-point line, was devastatingly good in the second half for the Dallas Mavericks, especially in the third quarter on, to help Jalen Brunson and this team offensively score 110 points, and they get a huge win that allows them to get back into this series with no Luka Doncic in the first couple of games. They were able to split at home before now going to Utah for games 3 and 4. The Dallas Mavericks on the night made 22 three-pointers, going 22 of 47 from the three-point line, a franchise record 22-pointers that they made in this game, and they were especially good in the second half. Jalen Brunson was absolutely sensational, especially in the first quarter. He scored 11 of the first 14 points for the Dallas Mavericks, including 3 straight three-pointers that got him off to a 14-6 start with 7:12 left in the first quarter. Jalen Brunson went on to score 13 of the first 16 points for the Dallas Mavericks and had 15 of the 24 points in the first quarter, although Spencer Dinwiddie got off to a slow start, was 0 of 5 from the field with 2 turnovers in the first quarter. They were tied at the end of the first quarter, 24-24. In the second half, the Dallas Mavericks were able to turn things up, especially when they got the ball movement going, especially much better in the second quarter. Jalen Brunson had 21 points at halftime. Spencer Dinwiddie had a rough go of it in the first half, going just 3 of 10 from the field with 7 points, 3 fouls, and 3 turnovers. But those would be the only turnovers that Spencer Dinwiddie had in the entire game. In fact, the Dallas Mavericks only had 3 turnovers on the night, all of which coming in the first half, 0 turnovers in the second half. It was the third quarter, though, where things got turned around for the Dallas Mavericks, especially from Maxi Kleber offensively. The Mavericks went on an 8-0 run to cut it to 60-58 after the Dinwiddie floater was able to get the lead down to 2, and he came in with much better attack mode, especially in the second half. Donovan Mitchell ended that 8-0 run with a floater on the left side himself, and then Jordan Clarkson was able to push the lead back up to 6 at 64-58. Meanwhile, Maxi Kleber was just getting started in the third quarter. He had 9 points on back-to-back three-pointers that gave the Mavs a 74-73 lead at one point, but Bojan Bogdanovic scored 6 straight points, including a three-pointer, and then being fouled by Davis Bertans that allowed the Jazz to get a 79-74 lead. But Maxi Kleber hit a 3 to cut it to 81-77 going into the fourth quarter, and the Jazz ended the third quarter on an 8-3 run to lead by 4 going into the fourth. As we mentioned, though, Spencer Dinwiddie played much better in the second half. It seemed like early on trying to press and do a little bit too much, had a few turnovers, did not play well, got into some early foul trouble. You could tell that he was not feeling the amount of calls that he was not getting from the referees. The officiating in this game, not necessarily the best, and Spencer Dinwiddie unfortunately felt that throughout the first half. I asked Spencer Dinwiddie after the game about staying and playing through not just the adversity of dealing with the referees and not getting the kinds of calls that he was looking for, but more importantly, what he needed to do during the second half to help his team do what he had to do to win this game. Here's what Spencer Dinwiddie told me after the game.
Kevin Gray, 105 through the Fan. Spencer, talk about the mentality of having to stay with it tonight. Obviously a rough go as the night went on, but sticking with it and doing other things to help the team win, regardless of getting calls or not, as the game went on tonight.
I mean, it's life, man. You know, when you're not a star, you get 16 free throws. You know, obviously it's going to be a point of emphasis when it comes back around. So I should have known that and been a little bit more prepared for that in game 2. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious kind of what went on. But it is what it is. Like, as a player, you're happy to win. You know what I mean? Like, if we had lost, I'd probably have a much different demeanor in here. I mean, even like the half-court shot, like, he can't just run by and hit my left arm. Like, I don't care if it's a half-court shot or not. Like, you just can't do that. You know what I mean? Like, and so those types of things do change the complexity of a game. And then also change like whether or not y'all think I have a rough night or not, right? Because what was it, 6 for 18? You take off 4 of those, and I'm 6 for 14. The percentages are solid, and I got 9 more free throws because I got fouled on the 3. So 4 shots? Yeah, 3 is 6 and 9. Yeah, let's say 7 of those free throws because I was actually hitting free throws tonight. Then you had 24. I'm just saying, like you could paint the line, right? Like you'd be 6 for 14, 1 for 5 from 3, 4. However many free throws it was, 24 points, 6 assists. Like you'd be sitting there saying, "Damn, you played well," and blah blah. So it's life, but I'll take the win regardless.
You gotta make sure you carry the 1.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just saying, like it's just quick, off the cuff math. So it's one of those things where like, look, I know that the stat people and the people that watch box scores are gonna be on my behind for this, and like I said, I should have been more prepared for that. But all in all, like the right decisions made. Like my line looks different. Like everybody's gonna be happy and whatnot. So I'm not particularly mad about the way I played, other than the fact that I should have been prepared for it. So like that's where personal growth needs to happen. Like I should have known that was going to happen and adjusted to that quicker.
So Spencer Dinwiddie saying, look, man, it's just the way things go sometimes. If I had some different things going one way or another, my statistics would have looked a little bit different. And you saw the kind of quick math that he was doing post-game after the game was over with. But he came up big in the second half. But this game belonged to Jalen Brunson, and it belonged to Maxi Kleber. Maxi Kleber was able to put together the best performance of his career, not just regular season, but obviously playoff-wise, going 8 of 11 from the three-point line. Yes, the Dallas Mavericks got dominated on the glass again. They got out-rebounded by 19, just like they did in game number 1. But in a game where you hold Donovan Mitchell to 30 shots in an inefficient 13 of 30, he did have 34, but on 30 shots that he had in this game, you did your job. Bojan Bogdanovic played well, went 9 of 15 from the field. He had 25 points in this game, and Jordan Clarkson tried to do what he could. He went 8 of 11 from the field with 21 points. But the inability for the Utah Jazz to get things going, especially offensively, consistently as the ball game went on, just gave you an idea of how well defensively the Mavericks were able to play, especially in the second half. The Utah Jazz go 11 of 29 from the three-point line, just 38% from the three-point line. We know that this is a team that likes to shoot a ton of threes. In fact, they shot the most threes per game this year in the NBA, shooting only 29 threes, where they're accustomed to shooting over 40 threes per game. Meanwhile, the Mavericks were the team shooting over 40 threes. They went 22 of 47 from the three-point line, made a bunch of uncontested three-pointers in this game, including Maxi Kleber, who made 7 uncontested three-pointers on his own in this game. His three-pointer put him up 99-98 with 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and then another one put him up 102-98 with 3:44 left. This was after Dorian Finney-Smith had given them a 94-93 lead, and then Brunson with another floater made him 96-93, and they did not look back from there. Timely hit shots by Dorian Finney-Smith. Obviously, Jalen Brunson attacking and being the aggressor at the rim. But what you saw in this game that was much better in this game than game 1 was the amount of ball movement, especially in the second half. They were able to limit the turnovers. They had more steals in this game than they did turnovers, with 5 steals to just 3 turnovers in the game. But more importantly, they were able to take care of the basketball down the stretch to give themselves the best opportunity to win, where they weren't able to get necessarily the kind of rebounding that you were looking for, which is going to be a problem not just in this series, but what has been a problem for this Mavericks team this year. They were able to hit enough shots to be able to limit the possessions, but more importantly, not turning the ball over to give extra possessions to the Utah Jazz in this game. They now go to Utah tied at 1 game apiece in this series, hoping to get Luka Doncic back and getting him introduced into this series by the time you get to games 3 and or 4 in Utah. But what the Mavericks were able to do, they were able to buy themselves some more time to at least get one more game inside this building at the American Airlines Center. There will be at least a Game 5 in this series after the Dallas Mavericks get the 110-104 win. But more importantly now, they buy that much more time for Luka Doncic to be able to have an opportunity to get into this series, to be able to have an effect and dramatic effect on this series as the series moves forward. A lot of different adjustments that were made, but more importantly, the Mavericks made shots. They didn't turn the basketball over, and they were able to get someone to come with Jalen Brunson. It felt like for a while there that there was no one that was going to be coming with Jalen Brunson at one point, having over 30 points, but they felt hollow in the game because no one was able to hit the kinds of shots to be able to put themselves in position to help Jalen Brunson shoulder the scoring load. That's when Maxi Kleber came alive, especially in the third quarter. They were able to shut down Rudy Gobert, who did not touch the ball for the final 6 minutes and 30 seconds of the basketball game. They kept Donovan Mitchell completely inefficient in this game. As I mentioned, 34 points, but taking 30 shots to get there. And the Mavericks played with the kind of intensity and aggression at the beginning of the game that you needed to see them play with to give them the best opportunity to win. You could tell in the first 5 minutes of the game that the Mavericks are going to attack and continue to attack relentlessly, led by Jalen Brunson in this game, who gave his ode to Dirk Nowitzki with the 41 points that he scored and obviously shouldered the load. You could tell in game one that he was trying to put himself in position where he was attacking the rim, getting the kinds of shots that he was looking for. They just simply did not fall. They fell in game number 2 in a big way, and the Mavericks were able to get the split that they needed as they get ready to go to Utah to take on the Utah Jazz in games 3 and 4. A much-needed win, obviously, in the series. They could not fall going 0-2 back to Utah, and now the question is, when does Luka Doncic get introduced to this series? When does he make himself available, and when does he become available as he continues to deal with the left calf strain? You saw him pregame starting to get some more work in as he continues to ramp up to try and get back into this series, and now going forward, there's some confidence that he can make his debut in this series sooner rather than later. But more importantly now, these Mavericks fans will have an opportunity to have at least one more game inside of the American Airlines Center. Dorian Finney-Smith, Maxi Kleber, Jalen Brunson, Spencer Dinwiddie, Reggie Bullock, who had a good game himself. Everyone had to contribute in this game. Even Trey Burke saw some time and some minutes in this game to provide a little bit of offense that the Mavericks desperately needed. The Mavericks get a 110-104 win inside of the American Airlines Center. This first-round Western Conference Series is tied at 1 game apiece. Game 3 is on Thursday night in Utah, a place where the Mavericks have not won in a long time, but they need to get a split in order to get this thing back to the American Airlines Center with a real shot to have Luka Doncic extended more into this series. The Dallas Mavericks, again, 110-104. Jalen Brunson, a career-high 41 points in this game, 0 turnovers, and was absolutely sensational in a big win, the biggest one, obviously, of this season. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Again, be sure to hit that subscribe button right here on Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. This has been Inside the Mavs, reporting from the American Airlines Center. The Mavericks tied the series 1 game apiece after a 110-104 win here in Dallas. Game 3 on Thursday in Utah. We'll talk to you later. Peace.